Is it a matter of when, not if, for Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers? Also, are the Suns fixable? And the Browns finally admitted what we already knew. I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
The Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers are doing an awful lot of flirting. First, Aaron Rodgers seen throwing with DK Metcalf. Then at the owners' meetings, we have the Mara family saying, oh, we're optimistic that this is going to get done, but it's not, as of this recording, a done deal. Chris Carter from Locked On Steelers joins me now. Chris, they're getting hot and heavy, and yet there's no deal. Why is this not consummated yet? It's April.
You and all these lovemaking terms here, consummated, flirting. But I think the thing here is that the Steelers, whereas Art Rudy did say that there is at some point a cutoff, like he did say, like, they're not going to just wait around forever. I think the Steelers are perfectly fine just being like, you know what, sign, don't sign, take until the draft to sign, whatever. Just, whenever you make a decision, just let us know. Like one thing that happened, a lot of people say when they saw Aaron Rodgers making a visit with the Pittsburgh Steelers, they thought that they called it, but it turned out he was the one that called it, and he's the one that's pushing for this. The Steelers, as far as everything that I know and everything that everyone else knows that I've seen reported, there's been one offer by the Steelers. They haven't budged. They haven't moved. It's been the same offer since day one. And they thought, hey, Aaron Rodgers, we want you to be a quarterback for just this season. You can be that, and then we're moving on. And Aaron Rodgers has entertained it. He's doing all these things. All the holdup is purely on his side of things. And I think the Steelers, they're just like, hey, you know what? The longer he does this, the more times people will pick to say the Steelers are going to pick Jackson Dart in the first round, while they're probably looking more at defensive tackle and corner. So I think they're willing to play this game, but I do think there will be a cutoff point at some point where they're just like, you know what? Don't care anymore. We're moving on. Granted, there's not a whole other people to move on with. But like as the Steelers have said, they're like, you know what? We've had to win games with Mason Rudolph before. If it comes to that, it comes to that. I don't think that they see Aaron Rodgers as this major upgrade. They're just trying to get to next year, when next year is their big push, where they're probably going to be trading up for a quarterback.
But so why handle it this way then, Chris? I'm confused. Like, you think you can win games now? You trade real draft capital, a second round pick for DK Metcalf. You feel like that's a win now move. You can't win now with Mason Rudolph. Like, not really, not in the AFC, not in any meaningful way in the postseason.
Not yet. They're not planning on winning this year. I think DK Metcalf was their attempt to try to find a more mature individual in the wide receiver room. George Pickens, they think, is very talented, but he hasn't.
That says a lot about George Pickens, by the way, that DK Metcalf is the mature individual in that receiver room.
It does, and that's but that's the thing. There is, I think they're seeing DK Metcalf as the veteran that they want to be at the head of the room. Whereas maybe they keep George Pickens around if they franchise tag him, or maybe they see, hey, you know what, we're not paying a major quarterback for the next few years, so let's find a way to pay both of these guys and have a crazy 1-2 punch at wide receiver. I think that part is still very much open, but I think the Steelers' whole point in that was they wanted to get an answer on offense at the wide receiver position that could be there long term. They weren't sure if they wanted to invest in George Pickens long term. They want to see more out of him and I think better maturity out of him before that happens. And this way, that when they do draft that quarterback next year, which I fully believe that's they go and get a first round quarterback. I think this year they go for a third, a fourth, a fifth round guy. And Mike Tomlin even said he enjoyed on the QB trail when he mentioned Notre Dame, he mentioned Ohio State, he mentioned another school that was along the lines, but like, basically, all these schools, Texas, and all these schools are mid-round quarterbacks. Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, Riley Leonard. They're not looking at the top-tier guys in this draft class because they don't think that this is the year to go for a starter. This is the year to go for a backup at quarterback. Next year, that's the year they're going to trade up and get a guy. So that's what all these moves are for right now, is to set up those future years. If you look at the comp picks that they're slated to have based off the players they let go into free agency who signed big elsewhere, they have right now to them coming about at least four comp picks. 2 of them might be third rounders based off of how things could play out.
Quickly here, Chris, I'm going to ask you to do something very dangerous and step inside the mind of Aaron Rodgers. If you're Rodgers, what are you waiting for? Like, this is your one shot.
The prevailing theory that several of us have here in Pittsburgh is that he is waiting for the April 9th Pat McAfee live show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at PPG Paints Arena, where he's going to make a live announcement. Yep, your reaction is my reaction, buddy. I'm right with you. Like, I can't believe this is happening right now. But there is a belief in my head that he is wanting to make some grand entrance into this situation, and that might be the thing that he's waiting on. But he's Aaron Rodgers, man. You covered him. There ain't no getting in the head of that man. He gonna do what he want to do, and I think he wants to go in on his own terms. Granted, I think the Steelers have said, "Come in on your own terms. We don't care. Just get in here, and then you'll go to work in spring." But again, my thing that I will continue to iterate, Peter, as the host of the Locked On Steelers podcast. I think that the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan, Art Rooney, you know what you are signing up for. You saw what happened with the Jets. You saw OTAs and mini camp and the questions and the 5-win season. Yeah. If you don't have this magic formula to make him different from all the other times that he's shown that who he is, you're going to be ended up paying the piper at the end of this.
Stay up to date all year on the Pittsburgh Steelers by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Steelers on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. You're Locked On Sports Today. Coming up, is there any hope of fixing the Phoenix Suns? Before we answer that, the NFL is kicking the can down the road with the tush push. March Madness is almost over, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down at the nets. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. Check out some NBA games while you're at it. The Pistons have a tough Western Conference matchup with the Thunder. FanDuel has the Thunder favored by 15. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on all the hoops action. NFL owners plan to continue discussions around the Philadelphia Eagles' short yardage brotherly shove play after tabling a proposal on Tuesday to ban it. 16 teams supported the motion that was begun by the Green Bay Packers, according to reports. NFL bylaws require a minimum of 24 votes to approve a change. The topic is likely to be revisited when owners gather for their spring meeting in May in Minnesota. The deliberations occupied owners, general managers, and coaches for much of the week's annual meeting, mostly because it seemed to target the champions. You know, the Eagles. They just won. It's been unstoppable for 3 seasons. Their latest concern, player safety, even though there's no evidence it's an unsafe play. I wish they would just call it legally. Just call it. Officiate it the right way, and it'll be fine. In the association, the Trailblazers got a 14-point road win over the Hawks.
The Blazers scored 26 points in the first 6 minutes of the third quarter. 26 points in 5 minutes and 50 seconds. They blew the game open. All of a sudden, they were up 17. An and one from Donovan Clingan. Gets a putback bucket and gets fouled. Makes a free throw. And it's like, oh, the Hawks, take a timeout. Oh, we're in trouble. It's a 17-point game. They just absolutely blitzed them coming out of halftime. They had played well in the first half. Denny Avdi had 16. Shaden Sharp had 16. They'd made a nice run in the second quarter to sort of come back and say, the Blazers scored 30 points, 31 points in the second quarter. They scored freaking 40 in the third. It's like they kind of found their rhythm and said the Hawks can't slow us the way we want to play and how much we're going to push in transition. And the Hawks are pretty sloppy. You missed 3-pointers. Like the Hawks shot on the game 7 of 32 from 3, and they turned the ball over 20 times. Like it's just like, they were a little bit sloppy and they were shooting bricks. And if you're going to do both of those, you're going to leave the door open for teams that particularly that are interested in pushing. In this particular version, the Blazers were interested in pushing. They blew the game open in the third quarter.
The Knicks dominated the Sixers because everyone does.
So nothing new. The 76ers lose 105-91. The biggest thing was the 76ers had their 52nd different lineup in terms of starting lineup. That is a new NBA record. And Keith, that is just crazy when you put it into that perspective of just how bad things have been for Philadelphia this year.
Yeah, and the thing about it is it's been bad since the beginning, right? I mean, because when you look at it, before Joel shut down, before PG shut down, they had a lot of different starting lineups, during that time. But since the they started tanking, it just seemed like every game was just a different lineup out there. But that's the problem. The one thing I will say is this game might have been the worst game that they played, or the worst performance that I've seen in a while. And the reason being is because there was nothing that you could take away from it. I get it. I understand that Quentin Grimes had 26 points on 8 for 18 shooting, but he was like 1 for 6 on 3. He had 9 for 10. He was 9 for 10 from the foul line. But when you look at the overall performance of the guys out there, it looked like finally they played against a team that didn't play their star players, but the 76ers never had a chance.
Over on the diamond, the Rangers got the first complete game of the season out of Nathan Eovaldi as he shut out the Reds.
Tonight is all about Nathan Eovaldi and his start, a dominant follow-up from the 6 shutout innings that he pitched in his first start of the season against the Red Sox, and it was just a beautiful thing to watch if you're a baseball fan. Love the offense, love the runs and all that, but when you see a dominant pitcher that is in complete control, in complete command, and can not only throw any pitch or every pitch that he wants to perfectly, pretty much, to have that command and to completely keep the Reds guessing the entire game. And here we are, not even a full week into the season. Just a tip of the cap to Nate for a great start tonight.
After a 133-123 loss to the Milwaukee Bucks, in which the Bucks shot almost 70% from the floor, the Suns on the outside looking in the Western Conference play-in race with just 6 games to go and not a lot of clarity on the future of Kevin Durant this season or beyond that. Benjamin Garcia from Locked On Suns joins us now to discuss what has been a forgettable campaign in Phoenix. Benjamin, what are we supposed to make of what we've seen this season from Phoenix?
There's no real words to put into exactly what the disappointment is. There is no world where you could have asked me, hey, how's this Sun season going to go? I would have given you whatever the Doctor Strange quote is of a million different avenues.
Yeah.
This would have never been the one that would have got me to this to where the Suns are, because it's Devin Booker, it's Bradley Beal, it's Kevin Durant. I mean, they have guys on this team that can play, like Tyus Jones, Nick Richards. Like, there's talent on this team, and it is arguably the biggest failure in the NBA, maybe outside of the 76ers. But outside of that, there's no real words to describe it, man.
And at least in the case of the 76ers, you can point to Joel Embiid being hurt most of the year, Paul George being hurt. Like, even when this team has had their guys, and they don't have their guys at the moment. Bradley Beal didn't play in this game against Milwaukee. Kevin Durant didn't play in this game against Milwaukee. But even when they've had their guys, it's not like 2 years ago when you could point to and say, oh, well, look, when these guys played together, they're great. That we didn't see that this year. So why do you think that is?
Well, it's too much hero ball. It is something that has evolved from last year, and it's gotten worse this year. It's when those 3 guys are on the court, no one really knows when it's their time to shine. All 3 guys, to their credit, are very unselfish players. But the issue is it sticks to the balls. It's the ball sticks into each one of their hands each and every play. And it's like I'll cook, you cook, instead of playing off each other. And that doesn't work. And I've been dumbfounded to it. I was one of the ones that said this Bradley Beal thing was going to be awesome. They were going to win a championship. They were going to dominate teams, barring health. I've fallen flat on my face there. You would be shocked how much worse the offense is and how stagnant it is with those 3 guys on the floor. When there's 2 guys on the floor, they do play better and complement each other, mainly Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, because they're facsimiles of each other. Just one of them's a little bit better than the other.
We've heard some reporting that this could be over as soon as this offseason with Kevin Durant, that they could be facilitating a trade this offseason. What is the outcome of this? What happens next for this team, especially as I mentioned, they are outside looking in, even on the play-in, outside of the 10th spot in the West.
Yeah, they're not making the play-in. There's not. If you're a Locked On Suns host like myself, Brendan Clean is, we are turning our attention to the offseason and to the point where why do I even want them? Like, yes, I'm a fan, and of course, like I want them to win, but like, do I really want to watch them? Even if they get out of the play-in, get smoked by the Thunder in 4 straight games, I don't want to see that. They're trading Kevin Durant. I would be, from what I've heard, is barring a insane run, beating the Thunder in the first round of the playoffs, they're not moving off what they want to do. They're going to have to trade Kevin Durant. And I do think, though, that it's not as bad as maybe some Suns fans or some spectators of the Suns might think. I do think that they can get this turned around, not to a championship contender, but a very viable team next year if they take the offseason seriously. And that includes the draft, and that includes trading Kevin Durant.
If you're putting together a list of places where you think Kevin Durant at this point in his career could elevate someone, maybe from, hey, a mid-tier contender to a contender, what makes the most sense for Kevin Durant this offseason, you think?
What makes the most sense, I think, is Minnesota. I think that Jaden McDaniels does kind of get you excited if you can get him in Phoenix. I think that works well with Devin Booker. Maybe some of the picks as well that you can get. Houston, I don't think makes a ton of sense because I don't think they're a Kevin Durant away from competing. And then you're wondering how much do they have to give up? And I think a dark horse is Miami. I think he either ends up in Minnesota or I think he ends up in Miami, and Khalil Ware is a very intriguing target for this Suns team. So that's where I think it would be. I got to let you know, Peter, but before, you kick me out of here, it was a tough night, but then I remembered I had this picture of Peter sitting in my house. Now, he doesn't even know where I got this. He left his wallet on the table at the Super Bowl. And being the nice gentleman I am, I picked it up. And I said, I'm going to give this to him so no one else steals it. Come to find out, I was the thief all along. So the Suns are terrible. Kevin Durant might be gone, but I had this beautiful photo of Peter.
And now I know that you have my business cards. I appreciate that.
And your entire wallet.
Stay up to date all year on the Phoenix Suns by subscribing to Locked On Sports today and Locked On Suns on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, the Browns are finally admitting what we already knew.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
The Cleveland Browns swung and missed on Deshaun Watson. Those are the words of owner Jimmy Haslam. All of us are going, yeah, no duh. But is it the worst trade ever? Locked On NFL host Tyler Rowland and Lauren Cox discussed that idea.
We heard from Browns owner Jimmy Haslam at the league meetings on Monday. And like I've said, he finally admitted what all of us were already ready to admit for him. And he said this via Mary Kay Cabot on Twitter. Quote, "We took a big swing and miss with Deshaun. We thought we had the quarterback. We didn't. And we gave up a lot of draft picks to get him. So we've got to dig ourselves out of that hole. It was an entire organization decision, and it ends with D and I, so hold us accountable." D Haslam is Jimmy Haslam's wife, if you didn't get the reference of the name. But I found it, look, we all know that the Deshaun Watson trade is one of the worst of all time. I don't know if it is the worst of all time. You could put the Herschel Walker trade in there. I think the Russell Wilson trade deserves to be involved in that. The A.J. Brown trade recently is one that could probably be put into that conversation. There are a few trades out there that you could point to, but this one is certainly top 3, top 5 at minimum, potentially top 1, considering the guaranteed money. I guess we all know this, but to hear the owner of the Browns admit it, and remember, Deshaun Watson is still on that roster.
Yeah, that the fact that Watson is still on the roster and they're admitting this to me is the second most shocking part of that. The first most shocking part is that he threw his wife under the bus with him. That was insane. He's going to be sleeping on the couch for a week. Like, you got to take that one on yourself, man. Just say, hey, my bad. But D and I together made that bad call. She's got to be just giving him the stink eye from across the room.
Absolutely.
The whole time that's happening. But no, it's very strange. Like, it's not like, okay, this is a year removed and Watson's somewhere else, or he's retired, or he's doing something else. Like, he's still under contract for your football team. Like, your only quarterbacks right now are him and Kenny Pickett. Like, that's if Watson is healthy at some point, like right now, that's your starting quarterback still. So to be like, yeah, we really screwed this one up is such a weird dynamic that because it hasn't resolved yet.
You could nitpick here and there. What they gave up in terms of draft capital isn't crazy. If Deshaun Watson had been the Deshaun Watson we saw the last time we saw him play in Houston, it wouldn't have been a bad trade. And trading for Deshaun Watson, that version of Deshaun Watson, may have even been worth 3 first-round picks. It's trading for Deshaun Watson after he took a year off amid facing a mountain of sexual misconduct allegations. And then not only giving up the picks, but giving him the biggest contract ever, the fully guaranteed contract, setting that precedent that pissed off all the owners. And then Deshaun Watson being one of the 5 or 6 worst starting quarterbacks in the league the entirety of his time in Cleveland. All of that together. Like some of the bad trades, like the Herschel Walker trades, even the Luka Doncic trades, they're bad trades on value. They didn't come with the baggage that Deshaun Watson brought. This was an indefensible trade in the moment, even if Deshaun Watson had come in and been the quarterback we saw in Houston. And now it's unthinkable. It's unconscionable that they made this trade. And it is worth more than just an oops. And finally, Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins are 2 of the 5 finalists for the Wooden Award in women's college basketball. Lauren Betts from UCLA, Madison Booker from Texas, and Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame round out the 5 finalists. Betts and the Bruins are heading to their first Final Four in program history, and the number 1 overall seed will take on UConn on Friday. Booker and the Longhorns are returning for the first time since 2003 and will take on South Carolina. The biggest question will be how much the injury affects Watkins' status in the WNBA. She won't be playing in the rest of this tournament because USC is out and she tore her ACL. The award will be handed out later in April. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up, is it championship or bust for the Cleveland Cavaliers? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.